Dr. Theophilus, we have a question here about the denial of faith when Jesus said that if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father in heaven. Create answer is from Islamic background, and he is not talking about himself but about others who may come to faith. And when somebody asks them, are you a Christian, they may deny that or may mention other names that is not Christian name and so on. So what do you think about this? If it is correct that they deny the name when they don't say clearly we are Christians because they may suffer persecution or whatever, or if it is wisdom to deny for a while. The mic is yours.
Well, again, circumstances alter cases. A Christian always should, wherever they can, confess Christ. And sometimes Christians out of weakness don't. And that is a sin, and it's a big failure. And yet I know that the Lord forgives that if these people later confess Christ openly. But you can't deny Christ on one hand and then still remain in His family. It's like turning your back on Christ when you deny Him. So it's a very dangerous thing. In the early first 3 centuries of the Christian era, the Roman government persecuted Christians intermittently, but almost, time and time again, for 3 centuries almost. And many Christians did deny that they were Christians with the threat of persecution. Then later, when the persecution ended and there was a lull in it, they came back and wanted to be readmitted to the church. And they confessed and repented and wanted to be forgiven, and the church forgave them. But after a while, it became so many and so serious that the church felt they had to tighten it up. And so they said, yes, you will be forgiven, but you have to perform a penance. In other words, you have to do some work or sacrifice to prove that you're really repentant. But that was a bad thing. That ended up with the sale of indulgences and all kinds of other things. So there should be forgiveness, but at the same time, there must be repentance, and there must be sincere repentance. Thousands of Christians in every century, rather than deny Christ, have faced death. On the other hand, you can sympathize with people. For instance, if a man is told that if he confesses to being a Christian, they're going to put the eyes out of his wife and children in his presence. That's some of the kind of things that it's easy for me to say, if not being persecuted, what I would do. But I know the weakness of human flesh, and I know that God is forgiving, but it's a very serious thing when Jesus said, if you deny me before men, I'll deny you before my Father in heaven. So we don't want Jesus to do that. And it's better we're all going to die someday. And it's better to die in grace, confessed before the Father that we're faithful, than to lose our salvation by denying Christ and turning away from Him. So there is forgiveness, but be very, very careful of this thing because it's terribly serious. And I know how hard it must be for Muslim people who become Christians because there is that death threat that is often given. And I know it involves our relatives, people we love, and so forth. And there are many things besides simply our own flesh. So I have to leave this to God. All sins have been forgiven, remember that. But at the same time, person who denies Christ, he's in grave spiritual danger. Simon Peter did it, and Jesus forgave him and mercifully took him back, but he repented with tears, and he had to be reinstated as an apostle, because had he not repented, he would not have been an apostle. I hope this helps.